Hello everyone, welcome to today's show. On this episode, we will take the time to explore the year in review. We'll be talking about 2019 in news and politics, movies, television, music, and sports, all throughout the next hour and a half or so as we bring you through quite a journey this year. My pleasure to have you in here today. This show made mostly in Puerto Rico, so if there's any background noise, I'm going to excuse that. But yeah, we do have a great show every day. Great year, great news, great fun reliving the times of this year. So yeah, without further ado, we will get right into it, starting with news and politics in 2019. The year began in 2019 in news and politics really kind of the same way that the year in 2018 ended, with a partial government shutdown starting in 2018 and ending in 2019 as the longest government shutdown in United States history. This took place alongside the arrival of the most outspoken, diverse, female Democratic majority to ever enter the U.S. House of Representatives. They were about to come on the stage and really shake things up in 2019. The pain the federal workers were feeling, some 800,000 of them not being paid by the time the shutdown ended, who had been furloughed or for other reasons, was felt over immigration and the policy of Trump and the possibility of building a border wall. The Democrats just refused to give Trump that border wall, something that they had obviously campaigned on, something their voters just did not want to see happen under any circumstances. And this was a big, big thing that they eventually came to a deal under after around 3 weeks of the government shutdown. That was really pretty painful for workers. Although many people organized, they came together, really showed the kind of spirit of America. It was a really kind of a nice moment to see when they came together to provide food, provide resources to people who may have been struggling financially after the government shutdown. So it was over mostly immigration, the shutdown was, and the Democrats, maybe feeling a little bit emboldened in their new majority, were able to come to a deal that was relatively favorable towards them and their interests. So this Democratic majority was probably one of the biggest themes in news and politics in 2019. And as this Democratic majority came into power, they were about to be able to have a very kind of different take on an issue that they had cared deeply about at the end of 2018, and that was Donald Trump's dealing with Russia in the special counsel probe being run by Robert Mueller. Not much changed in the beginning of 2019 about the probe taking place under Robert Mueller, but everything changed in the investigations, the multiple investigations being conducted into Trump in Congress. And this was the fact that the Democrats had subpoena power now. They were able to do this. They were able to conduct these investigations in the way that they saw fit. Democratic committees led by the late Elijah Cummings, Jerry Nadler, and Adam Schiff, they had subpoena power to truly investigate the president, obviously being led by someone who was very supportive of most of the things that they wanted to do, Nancy Pelosi, the speaker, being re-elected, quote-unquote, given the gavel by the Democrats, the first time that has ever happened, also the first woman to be speaker ever, and the first woman, obviously, to be speaker twice. And they really had the opportunity, these four, Nancy Pelosi, Adam Schiff, Jerry Nadler, and the late Elijah Cummings, they had the opportunity to right all those little annoyances, all those little wrongs that have been put in their way by the president and the Republicans. Every time that they'd been denied, every time that the president had violated these rules and had just been able to get away with it under the Republican majorities in the House, that was no longer. They were able to come in, they were able to finally investigate the president. They had the opportunity to really make this big, big change, and they were going to be pushed. Freshman congressmen, including the Squad, which was self-titled by Ayanna Pressley, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. For women of color who are very progressive, did not really let their identities define them, from Massachusetts, Minnesota, Mississippi, and of course the 14th District of New York. They were coming in and they really were focused on driving change along the Democratic Socialist line in the Democratic Party. And that was really made clear by Rashida Tlaib coming in at a fundraising party for the group Move On, saying something that probably gave every Democratic voter a little bit of a thrill of excitement, but every Democratic leader a absolute facepalm moment when she said at a party, "We are going to impeach the MFer."
Go in there, we're going to impeach the mother.
And perhaps the craziest part, she didn't make a smitten apology. She wasn't like, "I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to say that bad word, Mr. President. I really apologize. What can I do to possibly make it up to you?" No, she said, "Sometimes I speak the truth. Hashtag unapologetically me," and pretty much went on about her business. And there wasn't really too much the media could really do about it, because they were not. She says, "I will always speak truth to power, hashtag unapologetically me." Like, that was really exemplary of the new fire that the Democrats and the new fighters that were finally in the Democratic Party that many people wanted to see. This, though, set the stage in a much bigger way for the battle that would come to define the Democratic Party in 2019, and the big internal question that they would have to deal with about whether or not to impeach the MFer, whether or not to really go there, whether or not to say, you know what, it's about time that we really do something about this guy, because he's been going on for, things have been going on for long enough. All that was going on in the U.S., and tragedy struck in Christchurch, New Zealand. The eyes of the world were drawn to a tragic white supremacist shooting that killed 51 Muslims at a Christchurch mosque, reinvigorating the conversation over the prevalence of white supremacy worldwide.
It started from the hallway. So I could hear, and my wife started instructing several ladies and children to get out. Then she was shot.
The response from the White House and from Donald Trump, who, whether you like him or not, undeniably rode into the White House by pushing these buttons from white supremacists, making them know that they had someone who would stand by them in the White House. Hiring people like Steve Bannon and Stephen Miller on the campaign. The response from Donald Trump, while not surprising, was disturbing about the year to come.
President Trump, who was mentioned in that gunman's apparent manifesto, said he does not see white nationalism as a rising global threat.
And the really crazy thing was, there was something about this climate, this moment, that we really started to realize in 2019, that unfortunately there was room for this to come out at a rate that was really never before. It had kind of come after the 2016 election, continuing to rise globally. The idea that people who believe these awful things seem to grow in number, and, more importantly, grow in their boldness and willingness to do things, as we saw in the Charlottesville attacks in 2017. Like, this kind of stuff was all too disturbing and all too prevalent, and really made communities of color, fear, and minority communities all across the world fear that the rise of xenophobia, racism, anti-Semitism, Islamophobia was going to be a major theme in 2019. Next, the eyes of the world, seemingly looking to confirm this new suspicion, turn to Europe and European parliamentary elections, where
number of voters across Europe have dealt a blow to traditional centrist politics, with far-right parties making significant gains in the EU Parliament elections.
An increasing number of people seem to think that their lives are being controlled by elites that don't care about them, by huge globalized digital companies, by corrupt politicians.
Probably one of the most disturbing things about these European elections was the rise of this right-wing nationalism that was very, very well seen in these European elections, because it kind of gives the sense and is proof to the growing fear that a lot of people on the left had that they weren't going to be able to compete with this right-wing deep mix of populism and the fear that, okay, elites are controlling everything, but also somehow it is the fault of the immigrants, the people coming in from other countries, stealing your jobs and manipulating you. And it just provided with such an easy scapegoat that in 2019, right-wing leaders, from Nigel Farage in England to Matteo Salvini in Italy, were able to use so effectively to get people to turn out in big numbers to vote for them and support their anti-immigrant, anti-foreigner ideologies. So that was a major theme, and one thing was for sure, the populist movement that we saw begin in 2016 is still, and has gone strong from 2016, 17, 18, and still is really going strong in 2019, because this is a thing that people just haven't seen saturated. It is not a problem that has gone away. The sense is still prevalent, and not just in Europe, but in America and across the world. People are fed up with the ruling class on a global scale.
Department of Justice.
And just like that, there was something, the perfect event in America proved their point. All these people who are worried and had the sense that their lives were being controlled by elites. That their point really was kind of proved in this college admission scandal. It exposed that Operation Varsity Blues saw wealthy and famous parents paying millions to either alter their child's SAT scores, make them look like they played a sport, or even take the test for the students, in the biggest scam of this nature ever prosecuted by the DOJ. Especially in America, college can be a real lifeline to social and economic upward mobility. And the fact that there is no major way to get through college, especially if you're a middle-class person, without drowning in debt and maybe even having to sell plasma from your blood twice a week in order to pay tuition to stay in school, like, this had to be incredibly outraging for many Americans who either are paying student debt off now or are about to, or trying to send their kids through college. Like, I'm very, very fortunate. I'm able to come from a nice household, a nice area, and I was like, what the hell? Like, I still have to take, like, SAT, PSAT, practice tests, prep all the time, and some people don't even have that luxury to be able to get into college, get in a good job, get forward in life. Like, imagine if you just saw someone skipping the line ahead of you just because they're wealthy, just because they're powerful, just because they're famous, and you just are completely down and out. And this is over something in college that means so much in American society today. Like, it is a massive indicator of what we are, how we're able to succeed. And the fact that this turned out like this result was just devastating to a lot of people. It really pissed a lot of people off around the spring, early summer of sorts of 2019. And of course, one of the top beneficiaries, Olivia Jay, the child of a famous actress and actor couple, had this to say about the wonderful opportunity she's been afforded to go to college debt